Rajneet Pushkarni, who also is instrumental in starting the journey. So he talked about Eco Village, and I do remember that in 5 minutes, our president, Second Egbe, he was sold out, and he said, "I'm sending my students to Eco Village." We should start our whole discussion over here, actually thanking him as a leader of our campus, who is always supportive of all our endeavors. So we started preparing for our journey. We bought, things like drone also. We know we'll be giving it to Gurukul, an orphanage inside Eco Village. We got a very warm send off by Deputy Consulate General Mr. Sinha, and we landed in Mumbai in one rainy morning day. I think it was 31st of July.
Yes, hello, this is Neil Philip. Again, we landed in Mumbai. Again, Mumbai is a very hot place. Very well, I'm from the Caribbean, so that's not a big deal, but the other students were very impressed by the warm weather. And we took 2 hours to the Eco Village, which is a beautiful place. We had a nice welcome. You can see the Eco Village in the back, the first top right photograph. It's again, beautiful location. You can see the Sadri Mountains in the background for the Western Ghats. So this is great. And again, we had a chance to do a lot of yoga, again, every day. That was the highlight of our trip as well, doing a lot of yoga. And of course, when you go to India, you must visit the Taj Mahal. Anybody go there, you must visit the Taj Mahal. So
it was a sustainability journey. We took with us our weather station, and it was a solar power weather station, and the students of our campus, of our college, some of them who hasn't seen weather station before, they assembled everything within 2 to 3 hours, and we decided that we are going to install it in Eco Village because the foothills of Western Ghats is a very strategic location for the Indian monsoon.
and the next slide. What slide are you seeing now, Paramita?
Okay, we are actually, yeah, this is yes. Yeah, you're right.
You can see here, again, it was a complete team effort to install the weather station. You can see Nimai, Leela, Das from the Eco Village, and all the students. And again, we had a lot of help from the staff at the Eco Village. And we assembled it inside because, again, there's a lot of rain. So we had to stay inside and do it first, then take it outside and install it. And you can see we installed it on the roof of one of the buildings in GV. And you can see Greg Bruce, one of our collaborators from, who's now head of sustainability for Townsville, Australia. They're a smart city, and he's accompanied us on this journey, this yatra to India as well. Paramita?
Yeah, you have to proceed with the slides, yes. So here is our weather station we have installed, and we can actually avail data sitting in New York over here from, I'll show you in a couple of slides also. So it's a very strategic location, as I've mentioned, in that because it's a foothill of Western Ghats, which is a very crucial location for the southwest monsoon. And monsoon, the rainwater is, actually, it is very important for an agricultural state like Palghar district. So it was rainy season. We had experience of flooding also, and a beautiful mystic environment, and where science and spirituality came together. So this was one of the picture of early morning where we see the springs coming down from Western Ghats, and there was 48 inches of rainfall. Actually, we got locked up in Eco Village, but we were very lucky because we met Prabhuji in that lockdown situation, and it was a wonderful experience with us. So Dr. Philip, if you can show the slides with the data we get.
Sure, this shows you an example of the data we get from the GV weather station. We can track the monsoon actually in India. We can track all the monsoon from, this is a 2019 monsoon year. And this is a 2020 monsoon year. You can see the 2019 monsoon was much more intense. Even though we started monitoring, we set up the weather station in August, we had much more rainfall in that period of time in that monsoon than in 2020, where it's much less intense. So we are looking, so the weather station produces some very beautiful data. As a meteorologist myself, I love data. And you can see here, we want to see, again, why the differences in intensity of the monsoon from the GV weather station. So we're looking at temperature as an example. Is it related to the temperature there or the dew point temperature? So we can plot all these are all beautiful plots, Maharaj. You can tell from 2019, the top one is 2019, the bottom one is 2020. So we're trying to find correlations. Why did we have less rainfall in the monsoon in 2020 than in 2019? So again, this one weather station could give you a lot of information. You can see here we're looking at pressure, the atmospheric pressure. Does a difference in intensity of the monsoons in 2019, 2020 have anything to do with the barometric pressure in India at the time? So this, again, this is really gives you a lot of powerful information from one weather station costing about $1,800. So if we can do this in all over India, and we have done this also in Australia as well. We have done a lot of this stuff in Australia and Spain as well. So we want to do more weather station installations in India to provide more coverage and to help the farmers and help everybody in general in India as well. So.
Apart from our weather station initiative, it was a 2-week journey. So we also collected a lot of micro level data on air pollution. So these are our students from 4 different campuses of CUNY. And wherever they are going, actually, they were carrying a backpack weather station, and which was constantly collecting data of aerosol, then PM 2.5, that is the dust materials, NOx, NOx, SOx, and other things. And there was a GPS installed in it. So when we came back to New York, actually, we saw the GPS, and through the GPS, we can understand which area of the city has more of this aerosol. So this micro level data collection actually has become very crucial, and United Nations and many other organizations are actually saying that climate change, or this entire thing, should not be restricted only to the scientists in different universities. Rather, it should be a participatory research. So many of our students actually are not science major, but we wanted to inform them about this climate change through these activities.
And you can see, I should tell you one thing we had a lot of difficulty. This was an Independence Day time. So in India, walking around with wires, students walking on wires sticking out from backpacks. It caused some concern from the security police. So we were stopped a couple of times by the security and said, "What is that?" And then, okay, we are professors, we are students conducting research, and they let us pass. So that was a little bit of problems that we had there, but we solved that problem. We can solve any problems that we have. And as Permanent Sense said, this is a journey, sustainability in body, mind, and soul. We had a chance to connect with the Helpage India, for example, and do some really wonderful things with Helpage India. Our students, interacted with these elderly civil servants from Mumbai, and it was when we left here, there was not a dry eye, because these people, we really connected with them in the short space of time we spent with them there in Mumbai. Pramita?
We also discuss our climate change, our weather station installation policy with the then Education Minister. Thanks to Yachnit for making that appointment happen. So he was very encouraging. In one of the picture, you can see that we were showing him the weather station. So he encouraged us to go ahead with this mission of in situ installation of weather stations. So we have still a connection with the soil, and we are determined to do that. So he spent, actually he gave us 15 minutes time. Instead, it was about more than 1 hour, I think, with our students and our discussion. And it was a very, very informative discussion we had, and a lot of things were exchanged in that short period of time.
And you can see, again, talking about mind, body, and soul, we had a lot of chance to connect with the kids in India, the beautiful kids, very intelligent kids. This is an elementary school. We had a chance to interact with them, with lunchtime as well. Lunchtime is a very favorite time for the students. And again, GV has a big lunch initiative in India. So we saw that machine working to feed about 2,000 people there. It was just amazing to see the kind of reach that GV has. And so in the donations they collect, it really does a lot of good for the people of India and people of Maharashtra. So that's really good to see that's going to some really useful benefits there.
Actually, we visited one of the kitchen in the village where they were cooking. ISKCON takes initiative to cook meals for at least 400-500 students, or even more than that. This picture tells us, this is the orphanage inside the eco village. So you can see like the bonding that happened in one evening. And it shows the harmony where you can see the spiritual expression is nothing but love, as His Holiness was mentioning. So there was an intense feeling of affection among our students and the school students. And they bonded so well that next day we saw in the morning, our students were ready to attend the prayers in the temple. And they said then we will be meeting the kids from the Gurukul. So it was a wonderful, wonderful experience of sustainability, which was, as Dr. Philip mentioned, a journey of body, mind, and soul.
And also you can see the drones here as well. Again, also our students wanted to do something for the kids in the eco village. So our students chipped in money together and they bought 68 umbrellas. As kids wanted umbrellas. They said, we need some umbrellas. And they bought 68 umbrellas. So every kid in the eco village had an umbrella when we left. Because if you don't have an umbrella in India around the monsoon time, you are in trouble. So they had, when we left, all the kids had an umbrella from donated by the CUNY students. And also the drones that you saw, if I go back to the drones that we saw here, we brought from New York, we were able to, to look at the kids. And we got a video later on. The kids are flying these drones that we brought to them from.
Brilliant. Thanks. Thank you, Neil and Paramita. That's amazing.
Yes. And actually, last thing I'll tell you.
Rachit, give us 1 more minute.
Last thing,
we'll finish, and then Sanjay will join us.
Actually, this is all. We have a greenhouse gas monitoring because we talk about climate change. It's an important aspect for science in general in the whole world. So we have gotten $50,000 from our CUNY central office to buy this machine, and we have mounted this on top of the roof of one of our buildings, and you can see that site commands a view of all of Manhattan, pretty much all of New York City, all of New Jersey. And so what we do there in that site, and let's gonna just log in live into that site right now really quickly. Actually, fast. So I'm going to show you live data from greenhouse gases that's monitoring on top of the roof of Bronx Community College. So this is our live feed that comes in. You can see the greenhouse gases. It should be 400. It's now 561. That is crazy. That is really amazing that we have so much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So we hope we can encourage people in India and other parts of the country to install similar devices to monitor climate change. So we started this as the Bronx, and we hope to do this more in India. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Sanjay,
Hi, good morning all. Hello all. I just wanted to say, as Bronx Community College has laid the foundation for this fine work with the GV Eco Village, the Borough of Manhattan Community College will look to join and build on this venture for future work with its students. This opportunity will allow the students of BMCC and other CUNY schools to experience and discover the sustainability efforts that we can do together and on a global stage to positively affect climate change and keep up this good work that this team is looking to do over time. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Professor Sain, Professor Phillips, and Professor Ramdas. I would now like to invite our Consul General to New York, Excellency Jaiswal, a career diplomat from the Indian Foreign Services who has been on the forefront of India's global outlook. His last posting being the Social Secretary of the President of India is now serving and keeping our flag high in one of the most powerful nations of the world. I welcome you, sir, for your kind words.
Namaste and warm greetings to one and all from the Indian Consulate here in New York. Honorable Governor of Maharashtra, Shri Bhagat Singh Koshyari ji, His Holiness Radhanath Swami ji, founder of Govardhan Eco Village, Honorable Consul General of the United States, Mr. David Rans in Mumbai, Mr. Ajay Piramal, Chairman, Piramal Group, and as I learned in South Africa, all protocols observed. I'm delighted to attend this Indo-US Sustainability Summit. Today is a very special day. We are celebrating water, we are celebrating life, we are celebrating World Water Day. It means so much to all those who are working to promote sustainability, who are working to strengthen our connect with our nature, clean our rivers, to preserve our biodiversity, and to fight climate change. Sustainability, in my understanding and a larger understanding today, and which is very encouraging, is that it lies at the heart of the development agenda. Without sustainability, we cannot make progress on sustainable development goals. And if we are serious about fighting poverty, lifting millions out of poverty, if we are serious about fighting inequality, promoting women empowerment, I think we have to be focused on the sustainability agenda. The Govardhan Eco Village, and I must thank His Holiness Radhanath Swamiji for those very elucidating words on the thought and philosophy of Govardhan Eco Village. Govardhan Eco Village is a habitat which connects you deep with the nature and is a very strong philosophy of life. You know, since ancient times, if you look at our scriptures, not just in India, but across the world, we lived in such bountiful nature. We had so much of rivers, so much of water, so much of land, so much of... There are many challenges, but I'm very hopeful. And I'm hopeful because the youth today is leading the sustainability agenda. If you ask a young mind here in the United States or in India, any part of the world or in Africa, he or she straight away has a clear answer on climate change, on what is to be done on environment. And that is very encouraging. On World Water Day, let me also commend the efforts of Government of India. We are doing well to provide clean drinking water to millions of people in rural India through a Jal Jeevan mission. And today, our Prime Minister has just launched the Catch the Rain movement. It is yet again our commitment to environment, to conserve water, and we are thrilled by this initiative. I would also like to commend the efforts of City University of New York, Bronx Community College, and all other stakeholders who are doing so much to promote the sustainability agenda. In fact, the sustainability agenda lies at the very heart of Indo-US collaboration today. Renewable energy, climate change action, sustainable development goals, and many other such facets of life lie at the core of Indo-US collaboration. So I'm very excited. There are, of course, challenges at hand, but together we can build a cleaner and a green environment. Together we can build a life which is more in harmony with nature. I remain confident and I remain optimistic. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you, Excellency. That was very kind of you, of words of encouragement. I would now like to invite the United States of America Consul General to Mumbai, Excellency Rams, a career diplomat who isn't stranger to this region. I would rather put him as an expert of South Asian and Middle Eastern diplomacy. His last posting was as Deputy Assistant Secretary of State of South Asia and Deputy Assistant Secretary of State of Pakistan, for Pakistan. We are privileged to have him over in Mumbai. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Sunny. Good evening to everybody. I would like to thank Maharashtra Governor Bhagat Singh Koshyari for hosting this event and to acknowledge the participation of other senior officials here in India and joining us from the United States. I'm particularly excited about partners from City University of New York. My mother is a proud graduate of City College in New York, and it's exciting to be able to partner with you on this venture. I want to thank Yachnik Pushkarna, or Sunny to his friends, and his colleagues at Govardhan Eco Village for their energy and resolve in addressing environmental concerns. About local water conservation efforts as we celebrate World Water Day, or the broader need to address climate change around the world. Engagements like this Indo-US Sustainability Summit are instrumental in mobilizing society to action. I'm excited to share with you today some of what the United States is doing to address environmental concerns at home, what the US mission in India is doing with our partners here in India, and to hear about the successes and challenges being experienced by the stakeholders with us this evening. Climate change is a global phenomenon, but it is experienced locally. Whether it's increasing heat waves leading to crop failures and food scarcity worldwide, or the rising sea levels, land erosion, and flooding faced by coastal communities like Mumbai, the consequences of climate change affect millions of people every day. President Biden has made fighting climate change a top priority for the United States. And the US, as part of our pledge to address the challenge, has rejoined the global community in the Paris Agreement. Significantly, President Biden sat down earlier this month with his counterparts from Australia, Japan, and of course, Indian Prime Minister Modi for the first multilateral summit of his presidency. The Quad owes its existence to our joint efforts to address a natural disaster, the tsunami of 2004. At the Quad summit, the four leaders reaffirmed their vision for a stable, free, open, and rules-based order in the Indo-Pacific, and their commitment to the values of inclusivity, transparency, and good governance. The leaders also identified the climate challenge as a priority for the Quad and the Indo-Pacific, and established a Quad climate working group focused on achieving specific objectives. These include strengthening implementation of the Paris Agreement, advancing low emissions technology solutions, and cooperating on climate mitigation, adaptation, resilience, and climate finance. As a next step, President Biden will host a Leaders Summit on Climate this Earth Day, April 22nd to 23rd, aimed at catalyzing enhanced global ambition to address the climate crisis. We recognize the exigency of holding the Earth's temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, in line with the Paris Agreement. Our present path of a 3.7 to 4.5 centigrade increase will engender fundamentally unlivable conditions, especially for the most vulnerable and poorest people on Earth. In the long term, driving towards net zero emissions no later than 2050 and keeping a 1.5 degree limit within reach remain the best policies for climate resilience and adaptation. The US has set for itself ambitious domestic goals, looking to achieve a carbon pollution-free power sector by 2035 and to put us on an irreversible path to a net zero economy by 2050. This plan will create millions of new jobs in a US economy focused on clean energy. For its part, India deserves significant credit for its global leadership on climate change. Climate Action Tracker, a reputable website following climate issues, has rated the government of India's climate efforts as 2-degree compatible. India is the only notably major economy to receive this rating. We also welcome Prime Minister Modi's initiative to establish both the International Solar Alliance and the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. The US mission in India and the Department of State in Washington are also taking specific, meaningful actions with government and private sector partners to address air quality, promote renewable energy, and reduce waste. For example, did you know that 80% of our immigrant visa applications are completed through a paperless process? Or that the police stationed around our building here in Mumbai, who previously relied on fires to keep warm during cold weather, now have solar panels on their huts to power heaters. In 2018, the State Department's South and Central Asia Bureau launched a Council on Air Quality, or CAQ, to address the impact of poor air quality on our diplomatic personnel in the region, including local staff. Since that time, the CAQ has partnered with host governments on policy approaches to improving air quality and promoting US best practices, goods, and technology for air quality solutions to reduce pollution. As part of that initiative here in Mumbai, we provide access to our reference grade beta attenuation monitor, or BAM, for local startups manufacturing low-cost air quality sensors. At a time when the consulate had the only reference grade air quality monitor in Maharashtra available to researchers, this access enabled corroboration and validation of the sensors being produced. This access contributed greatly to research and calibration algorithms based on machine learning and artificial intelligence, essential to producing quality products that ultimately provide the public with vital data about the air they breathe. Our foreign commercial service team is tracking new project announcements for timely collaboration with US suppliers of the latest technology in the areas of pollution control, air monitoring, and wastewater treatment. And the commercial section is planning a visit to India later this year by American envirotech companies focused on clean air, weather monitoring and forecasting, a follow-up to the first environmental trade mission in February 2020, focused on water technology. The US Environmental Protection Agency has consulted with officials from the Central Pollution Control Board and the Madhya Pradesh and Mumbai Pollution Control Boards on air quality and wastewater management. Because agriculture is a vital focus in addressing climate change, our Foreign Agricultural Service, is exploring areas of technical assistance with the Maharashtra government. India and the United States are both agricultural powerhouses, and we play an important role as guarantors of global food security, as well as meeting a growing demand for fiber and fuel while mitigating and adapting to the effects of climate change. In this effort, our countries must focus on improving soil health, water use, and livestock management practices, while investing in conservation technologies and renewable energy. For over 20 years, our Foreign Agricultural Service has trained Indian officials and agricultural professionals in these subjects through its Cochrane and Borlaug Fellowship programs. The U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, has long supported India's low emissions development, working to accelerate the clean energy transition, expand the use of nature-based solutions to climate change, and support resilient communities. Since 2016, USAID in India has supported the development of 6 megawatts of renewable energy, leveraged more than $2 billion for clean energy investments, and reduced greenhouse gases by 13 million tons, the equivalent of removing over 2.5 million cars from the road for a full year. The 70-year India-US development partnership and today's focus on innovation and engaging the private sector have built the institutions and relationships to help tackle the climate crisis. The U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, or DFC, which recently opened an office at the consulate here in Mumbai, has committed over $800 million for solar projects around India. DFC's financial commitments include 2 300-megawatt solar photovoltaic power stations in Rajasthan and 2 smaller stations in Gujarat. DFC, working in partnership with USAID, also recently signed a risk-sharing guarantee agreement with New York-based Encourage Capital and 2 Indian financial companies, eKurs Financial and Electronica Finance Limited, to support loans to small and medium enterprises in India investing in rooftop solar installations. The agreement mobilizes up to $41.7 million in financing for the purpose. And the DFC has an estimated $550 million of additional renewable energy projects in the pipeline. We are proud of these achievements, and yet there is much more we can do together. Lowering trade barriers to clean energy technologies and synchronizing our economic development initiatives to include renewables are 2 examples. The imposition of customs duties on the import of solar cells and solar modules, as the Indian government recently announced it intends to do, may be intended to promote domestic manufacturing capacity, but the proposed plan will also increase the capital cost for solar power projects by 24%. Such protectionist policies are counterproductive and need to be re-examined if we want to address climate change quickly and meaningfully. The bottom line is the world is counting on India and the US to lead on climate change. Our cooperation, together and with our international partners, is essential to addressing this global challenge. We look forward to expanding our partnerships with local governments, environmental NGOs, and other stakeholders to contribute to this fight. Thank you very much for having me here this evening.
Thank you, Excellency Rand. It was a real pleasure having you here for your kind words. There are certain personalities who have helped shape modern economies, now on a mission helping uplift societies, communities, and create holistic impacts in lives of hundreds and thousands of families across the country and around the world. Through their foundations, our very own Bill and Melinda, on a mission of seva and nurturing talent across the world, I would now like to welcome Mr. Ajay Piramal. Sir, a few words from your side.
Thank you. His Excellency, the Governor of Maharashtra, Shri Bhagat Singh Ji Koshyari, His Holiness Radhanath Swami, the Indian Consul General from New York, Mr. Randhir Jaiswal, the US Consul General in Mumbai, Mr. David Rands, and all distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak on a subject which is really important today for not only India, the US, and the rest of the world on sustainability. The Govardhan Eco Village is a great example of sustainability being practiced. This is an issue which not only governments, which of course need to do the leadership, but even corporates have to work together and other NGOs and foundations. I just want to say that what we have been doing in our foundation to make our small contribution towards the sustainability. Our foundation works in the 112 aspirational districts which have been identified by the Honorable Prime Minister as those which need the most attention. If you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, if India has to reach the number by 2030, then the aspirational districts have to come up there. Because in most of the indicators, the aspirational districts are half of what the rest of the country is, whether it's maternal mortality, whether it's infant mortality. And that's where we have been working together now in the areas of health, nutrition, and education. And these are areas where, if you see these aspirational districts, they are far behind. The aspirational districts are mainly concerned, have people who are from the tribal areas, they are people who are minorities, and they are geographically disadvantaged. That's the area where we're trying to see how we can improve the health, nutrition, and education indicators. Besides that, the Jal Jeevan mission of the Prime Minister, which is the most important thing if you look at the quality of water, the clean drinking water, the availability of clean drinking water is coming down. And there again, we have been closely working to ensure that piped water is available. It is monitored, the quality of water is available and monitored by all of us. I'm happy to say that in collaboration with the governments, the central government, the state governments, as well as with the districts, there has been a significant difference that we've been able to demonstrate, whether it is in terms of health or in education. In the tribal health, we have now an initiative which we are launching with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, with the Rockefeller Foundation, and with many other foundations, and will be done on the 7th of April, where we will be launching this, which is the World Food Day. And I can only say that we will work towards this in partnership with the governments to ensure that the goals of sustainability are maintained. In addition to this, as a finance lending business, we are ensuring that funds are available for the renewable sector, whether it is in terms of renewable energy for the solar, for wind, and this is also another thrust that we as a board have decided. So that's the way I thought I could share with you our contribution in this space. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your word of wisdom and your path ahead. I would now like to invite His Excellency Governor Koshyari, a veteran politician having served both houses of National Parliament, the second Chief Minister of the state of Uttarakhand, also Chancellor of the largest universities of the world. Sir, please, if you can honor us as a chief guest of the event.
Reverend Radhanath Swamiji, Consul General, United States, Mr. David Range, Consul General of India, Mr. Ranjit Jaiswal, Yamalji, Desai-ji, Patlalji, and all the other dignitaries. I first of all congratulate our Govardhan Eco Village, the organizers of Govardhan Eco Village, organizing this conference, this conclave, and I'm happy to see that two great democracies of the world, United States and India, are the main participants of this summit. As the theme is climate change and also sustainability. Actually, I would like to, in a few minutes, I would like to make a few points here. But basically, in India, our Bharata, we all believe, we say even this body is made of Siti Jal Paak Gagan Samira. The water, the subject of today, of discussion of the today, is being celebrated as World Water Day. So the basic thought in our country, from ancient time, is that even this body is made of this earth, made of water, made of energy, made of air and space. So that's why we basically from the very beginning, our thinkers, our rishis, our swamis like now Radha Swamiji and all the other Indian swamis, they all emphasize upon nature. And in India, we are nature worshipper. We worship water. We worship Ganga. Ganga is the very holy river. So all over the world, people come here and take the water of Ganga for purification. So the basic thing is that what should be the basic thought? What should be the basic thinking of a country or of the whole world? So this, I think, first of all, and I'm very sorry to say that when I was studying long back in early 60s, the nature worshipper were called heathens and they were called pagans. But now all of the world, whole of the world, they are now beginning to worship the nature. They have understood the importance of the nature. So I think the cycle has come to full and circle. So I think that it's a very good sign that our Swamiji and all his Swamiji's, His Holiness followers, they are doing a human service in India and all over the world. So far as India is concerned, we take earth not simply this earth, not simply by plowing this and by exploiting it and getting for our recreation, for our necessities, not merely that, but we consider this world itself, this earth itself as a mother. That's why we India say Mother India. So when we say Mother India, when we say Mother Ganga, when we say Mother Tulsi, Basil, so now it means that our thinking is that we must first of all give sanctity to our nature. Once we think that nature is very pious, just as child doesn't exploit his mother, and even the mother does not allow her to exploit. Similarly, we have to take that this world, we have to say to the world, and particularly to US. US means you and us, you, us, and us. Hum, bayam, that is called we. US means we, us. So let us become us, and not simply USA and India, but let us become us. That is we. So as a whole, I think if we can think in this direction, and if this spirituality is given to this earth, to this water, and to this air, to energy, if you give spirituality, and as a Swamiji, Reverend Radha Swamiji is dedicated to this cause, I think with these blessings, this conference will be a very successful one. And our Prime Minister in India is very much for water conserving, very much for energy conservation, just as our Consul General in Mr. Jaiswal was speaking about the Jal Jeevan Mission. Even Piramal was mentioning this Jal Jeevan Mission. Our Prime Minister in India has promised that by 2022, every house in India will have a clean water, a tapped water. So that is a big drain. And already in India, we are having this renewable energy in large scale. I think about this solar energy and the solar alliance the Prime Minister has already created and already doing a lot here. And similarly, apart from solar, we are having this you call wind also, so energy also. So I think we all should have endeavored towards sustaining the world, and the world can be sustained, and this sustainable development can only be possible when we attach some holiness to these things. If we simply think that yes, these are material things and we have to exploit them, we have to use them, I don't think that we will be very much successful. And today even I see that when this is a COVID-19, why is it that His Excellency Mr. David Ranji is here, the most powerful country, it suffered like anything due to COVID. How is it? Probably because in India we tried our best, even when there is a second wave, and we say that no, we will bravely face it, and because our people they have got some respect for the nature, and I think we should first of all give some with the blessing of Swamiji some spirituality, is a spiritual change to this movement, and once it is done, I hope that we will not be exploiting the nature anyway, and we will be not conserving only water, but we will be conserving our culture. That is why I think that is the need of the hour. Hope that this conference will do something or in this line or in this space, in this respect. Hope that this conference is successful. I wish my best wishes.
Thank you, Excellency. That was a great.
US के president. बंद कर देना. मेरा बंद कर दे. तो अपना बोल.
Video. Thank you, Excellency, for your kind words in this thing. I would now like to invite a veteran of 30 years of academic experience in shaping institutions, personally spearheading developmental programs across higher education, instrumental in implementing high-quality academic programs across data-driven to shape the labor market. The president of Bronx Community College, Dr. Sekenegbi.
Good morning, everybody. Yashni, thank you very much. Your Excellency, the Honorable Governor, His Holiness, Your Excellencies, the Indian Consul General to New York, the US Consul General to India, all distinguished members of this panel, good morning from the Bronx and good morning from New York. The first thing I want to do is to bring greetings from my students, my faculty, and all of the staff from Bronx Community College. What a wonderful day and what a wonderful opportunity to talk about sustainability. Yashnit, I want to say thank you for your connection to Bronx Community College and for showing us the way. I think one of the things we've learned the last year is that the world, it's more or less, it's a small global village. What happens in China affects what happens in the United States. What happens in India affects what happens in the United States and all over the world. I think this is one of the experiences I think we've learned from COVID. I think this is also more true with climate, sustainability, and all other issues in the world. So what does this mean? Which means we all as individuals got to be aware of what climate change is, what sustainability is, and how it does affect each and every one of us. While the role of the government is very important in setting policies and guidelines, at Bronx Community College, we believe that it's people-to-people contact that really do make the difference at the end of the day. This is why we've used the Eco Village, and with the leadership of Yasnid and with the leadership of Dr. Phillips and Paramita Singh from our campus to arrange for people-to-people contact. From what you saw earlier on from the presentations from Dr. Neil and from Paramita Singh, you can see what we've committed ourselves to make sure that we send students from New York, from Bronx, from CUNY to go to India and actually see what the problems are and come up with solutions on how we can help solve the problem. This we did in 2019. We were supposed to replicate this in 2020 before COVID. My hope and wishes is that come 2021 or come after post-COVID experience, we hope to build on the work that's already been done to send more students to India and hopefully have students from India come down to the Bronx too to see and study what issues that we're having. I think it's really critical, like I said earlier on, while government-to-government policies and guidelines are critical, non-governmental relations, non-governmental contact, I think is a way out to solve these problems. We hope to build on our 2019 visit. We have to do more work in India. We hope students from India will also come to the Bronx to work with us. We know our chancellor at the university level is very supportive. We know we have willing faculty like Derek from Medical Ergos. We know we have faculty like Paramita Singh that are interested in this work. It's my hope to build on the work that we already started in 2019 to make sure we continue along this road. The world needs more individuals to be involved in sustainability. The world needs more individuals to be involved in water control issues and management. And I'm pledging the support of Bronx Community College and our faculty to continue this work. Again, thank you everybody this morning. And I look forward to continued collaboration and partnership with everybody. Good luck and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. It was for your kind words and showing us how the world was when it was normal. We are looking forward of having you all to India. His Excellency the Governor was just expressing that it would be a great amalgamation of two youth powers of India and the US. I would now like to invite Dr. Munro, the President of Borough of Manhattan Community Colleges, most recently served as President and Advocate of Trinity Hospital, recently named one of the top 25 minority healthcare executives in the United States of America. Sir, we are looking forward to your kind words.
Thank you so much and good day to His Excellency Governor and His Holiness, and to the Honorable Consular Generals and all the distinguished and notable leaders, and to colleagues. I bid you good day, good evening. Thank you for inviting me to speak during this very important summit. I want to congratulate you for continuing to bring the integration of sustainable design and management to the forefront of this discussion, and for recognizing the collaborative work that is before us, a unique, timely, and necessary endeavor that ushers in change needed in our world. As many of you know, our current world is in dire need of more opportunities to explore how institutions, businesses, and corporations can adopt more environmentally friendly and sustainable practices for the betterment of our planet. Exchange of ideas and innovation are key to building collaborative partnerships to improve and enhance how we live, work, and learn. This is why I'm delighted about the new Indian national education policy, which encourages collaboration between Indian and US academic institutions. The CUNY India Study Abroad program is one excellent example of a strong, sustainable, collaborative that is providing unique experiential learning opportunities for our students. As my colleague from Bronx Community College said, we need to continue to support, expand, and build on this tremendous work that is being done. I am proud to be the president of an institution that understands the importance of sustainability and water. Borough of Manhattan Community College is aware of the critical role it plays in the region's ecology and is committed to integrating sustainability into the design and management of its physical campus operations. However, to exercise genuine leadership in this arena, BMCC recognizes it must also weave sustainability awareness into the fabric of college life by integrating it into its core activities of teaching, research, and outreach. BMCC efforts are aimed at dramatically increasing the capabilities of the communities we serve to understand and address the challenges and opportunities of sustainability and the importance of water. According to the Journal of Biological Chemistry, our body is made up of approximately 60% water. In addition, our brain and our heart is approximately 73% water. Our lungs, approximately 83% water. Our skin, 64% water. Muscles and kidneys, 79% water. Our bones, 31% water. We can live weeks without food, we will perish within days without water. BMCC is always looking for opportunities to collaborate and explore with other institutions to find solutions to environmental and global issues. I invite you all to connect with BMCC and learn about our efforts by visiting our website and searching for sustainability. Again, thank you for this opportunity to share and learn with you today. Thank you for inviting me to speak, and congratulations on your hard work.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your kind words. We are really looking forward to having you all in India. I would now like to call, he is the father of modern derivative trading in India. From setting up India's first international stock exchange to spearheading India's largest conglomerate's corporate communications to the cricket team, managing director of the Bombay Stock Exchange, now on a mission to create the world's largest social stock exchange. I welcome Mr. Ashish Chauhan. Sir, few words of wisdom, please.
His Excellency Government of Maharashtra, Shri Bhagat Singh Koshyari ji, His Holiness Shri Radhanath Swami ji, His Holiness Shri Gauranga Prabhu ji, His Excellency India's Consul General for New York, Shri Jaiswal, His Excellency US Consul General for Mumbai, Shri Ajay Piramal, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and good evening to participants depending on where you are. I'm delighted to be speaking at this prestigious event on World Water Day. As mentioned earlier, water is the essence of life, which has been recognized world over in every religion and every civilization. India, as the longest lasting continuous civilization in the world, has always given tremendous importance to water. As Honorable Governor mentioned, that we worship the rivers, we worship every form of water, wherever it is. BSE has always been there to support the country and the world in raising funds for the projects important to the society. BSE, along with Standard & Poor's, which is a US institution, has come out with many indexes, some of which include green and carbon related indexes. Our indexes like S&P BSE GreenX and S&P BSE CarbonX have allowed companies to measure their carbon footprint and improve on them continuously. BSE is the first signatory from Asia for UN Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative. BSE also has amongst the most comprehensive regulations in the world for companies to report their sustainability activities in their periodic reports like annual reports. BSE is one of the most automated exchanges in the world with 6 microseconds response time, and one of the largest exchanges in the world with more than $3 trillion of equities and bonds listed on it. I reiterate BSE commitment to help raise sustainable finance and would love to engage more with everyone present here today on exploring ways to take India further on path of sustainability. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Mr. Chauhan, sir. That was really great, and we look forward to sustainability efforts and the social stock exchange of India. I would now like to invite Provost Lester Rapallo from the City University of New York for a minute of his word about our collaborative.
Thank you so much, Sanjay. Good morning, distinguished delegates and esteemed panelists. I want to say welcome. Thank you so much on behalf of Bronx Community College and the City University of New York. I'm humbled and honored to be part of this fruitful discussion today, discussing the importance of water and the resilience of the Indian nation and United States and the globe as we speak. If we look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 6, it reads, it ensures availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. And even though we have made a lot of progress in life, there's still a lot of room of improvement. Despite progress, billions still lack of water and sanitation services. Just to give you an example, more than 2.2 billion people lack safely manage water. 4.2 billion people lack safely managed sanitation in 2017. 2 in 5 healthcare facilities worldwide have no soap and water, and alcohol-based hand rub in 2016. COVID-19, as our president, Thomas Sekenegby from Bronx Community College explained it, have shown us how interconnected we are in this planet that we call world and home for all of us. More than 3 billion people worldwide lack basic hand washing facilities at home, the most effective method for COVID-19 prevention. So it is a wake-up call, and it is our responsibility to protect our planet, help each other, and care for each other. Water scarcity could displace more than 700 people by 2030. And we see this in countries such as my homeland, Honduras, the continent of Africa, and other regions in the world. Some countries experience a funding gap of 61% of achieving water and sanitation targets. So I welcome and I congratulate each and every one of you in your respective goals and in your respective roles that try for a more sustainable, clean water planet and show us the importance of helping each other in this planet that we call world and home for all of us. Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you for all the amazing work that your organization does, the Eco Village. Thank you to the government of India, and thank you for all the delegates of the United States and all these team leaders, presidents of City University of New York, CUNY, Bronx, and the Borough of Manhattan. Thank you, Paramita, Professor Neil, for your STEAM presentation. It's an honor to be here today with each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Provost Rapallo. It was a real pleasure hearing your lovely words. I would now like to invite Professor Haberman, Department of Religious Studies, Indiana University. He has been on the forefront of green bhakti, where he's amalgamated seva, environment, and religious studies. Professor Haberman, looking forward to hearing from you, sir.
Yeah, good evening and good morning to all of this distinguished guests at this wonderful gathering, this summit. I'm delighted to be part of this. I want to thank Yachnik Pushkarna and other organizers of this summit. And I want to thank Radhanath Swami Maharaj for the inspiration that he has brought to the Govardhan Eco Village. I never cease to be amazed at what is coming out of the Govardhan Eco Village. So learned so much here today. The main point I want to make in the few minutes that I have is that religion matters and needs to have a place at the table of any consideration of issues related to sustainability. And although this is the occasion for World Water Day, I understand that our deliberations include climate change and other related environmental challenges. I approach issues of sustainability as a professor of religious studies who identifies with the subfield of religion and ecology. Much of the initial inspiration of the subfield began with the publication of a seminal 1967 article published by the UCLA historian Lynn White. In this article, he says that he is doubtful, quote, that disastrous ecologic backlash can be avoided simply by applying to our problems more science and more technology. He went on to conclude, quote, since the roots of our trouble are so largely religious, the remedy must essentially also be religious, whether we call it that or not. This all comes from the increasing recognition that human understandings of and behavior toward the greater world of nature or the environment are largely shaped by religion. And I have seen this clearly in my own research on the Yamuna River, understanding that the religious environmental activism associated with efforts to protect the Yamuna and restore her to health are deeply, deeply embedded in religious understandings. An example of the birth of this field in religion ecology is what is today called the Forum on Religion Ecology, which has a spectacular website, if you want to Google Forum on Religion and Ecology, and it's now housed at the Yale University School for the Environment and led by two religion scholars who are there by the names of Mary Evelyn Tucker and John Grimm, who had come to the Govardhan Eco Village for a conference on Hinduism and ecology we organized there. I want to use the bulk of my remaining time suggesting some of the many ways religion is important in addressing the environmental crises. Religious worldviews provide a specific framework for comprehending and responding to environmental challenges such as climate change. And it does this in a particular cultural mode of expression most relevant to a local situation, which is often more effective than a distant global perspective. It may turn out that particular religious perspectives have important insights to contribute to global discourse on environmental issues, such as climate change, and offer suggestions for possible solutions. Although science and technology clearly have an important role to play in addressing our environmental challenges, their contributions alone will not be sufficient. In addition to the burning of fossil fuels and the spewing of toxins into our water and soils, scholars of religion and ecology advocate adding such things as particular conceptions of self and views of the world, religious matters, to the list of the major drivers of climate change and other environmental problems. Scientific and facts and graphs are not enough to motivate people to action. Until environmental problems are seen as a moral challenge related to ultimate concerns, little will change. Religious leaders and communities have much to offer here. Moreover, religion has a powerful role to play in areas untouched by science and technology, such as questioning the worldviews that have led to the environmental crises, dealing with anxiety, loss, and hopelessness, positing and prioritizing high values, aiding fruitful motivation, and providing potentially transformative practices. Religion can bolster communities to stand strong in the face of unprecedented climate events. Science alone has little to offer the affective dimension of the current crises. Religion, on the other hand, is at home in this milieu. Hope is considered by many to be an essential ingredient in humanity's quest for constructive ways to address the environmental crises. And religious communities occupy an advantageous position, not only for taking care of people vulnerable to environmental disturbances, but also for providing them with hope. I could go on, but in the interest of time, let me stop there and conclude by saying simply that any way of successfully addressing and solving the environmental crises necessarily involves religion. The Govardhan Eco Village is already deeply engaged in the fruitful union of sustainable technologies and religious vision, and as such is a current model for the world to live from. So with there, let me stop with a thank you to all of you for participating in this summit and for listening to me.
Thank you, Professor Heberman. That was really, really insightful, and thank you very much. I really acknowledge everyone sitting there patiently on a Monday morning. I think we should really quickly wrap it up. I would just like to invite Professor Binz Shroff, who we dearly call as MC from the City College of CUNY, and she is doing a lot of work in the social entrepreneur space. So MC, if we can just have a quick overview from you, and then we would like over to you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to spare you with greetings. I'm so honored to be here. As Mr. Pushkar said, I'm at CUNY. I teach management, so I will try to be very concise. So what my approach is in teaching social entrepreneurship and also women in the workplace, mentoring student entrepreneurship teams, is to show students that everyone can be a change maker. And all you need is a belief in social justice and passion. So many of my students come from disadvantaged backgrounds, so it's never a problem to find those. My job is to guide them in the process of tackling social problems by finding and implementing solutions that affect positive social change. And I have two strategies for that. One is have them start in their own communities and ask them, what is the stuff that makes your blood boil, that you wish could be changed? And in many cases, they start off by saying, we need to change legislation, something big. And I guide them in the process of identifying something at a manageable level that does get to sustainable solutions. And then the other strategy is to show them existing successful initiatives, and to show them what can be done with modest resources by small groups of dedicated individuals, ideally people that they can relate to. And I found exactly that when I visited Govardhan in 2019 for a month. And I was also lucky to invite Dr. Subramaniam, Mr. Pushkar from Govardhan, Mr. Hema Gupta to speak to my students. And we were going to take them on a trip inspired, of course, by Dr. Neil Phillips. And unfortunately, because of COVID, we couldn't do it last year, but I very much hope that we will be able to invite them and take them over next year. I'm going to stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, MC. That was, yes, we had a wonderful time at City, and unfortunately, because of COVID, a lot of programs got stalled, but as they say, it's just a pause. It's soon going to be rolled out. So thank you very much for your kind words. I would now like to invite the belief of values, belief of environment, and belief of sustainability. Ms. Chantal Elkin from the World Wildlife Fund, who has worked for over decades and decades of amalgamating the concept of sustainability and beliefs in religion and in spirituality. If you can, please, ma'am, give us an insight about what WWF is doing and how we can collaborate together to make it a more sustainable earth.
Thank you so much. I'm wondering if I can share my screen, my presentation. If you could enable that, that would be fantastic. Aha.
I think Professor Philip, and yeah.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here, and I want to thank all of the organizers and the esteemed guests, and especially Sri Radhanath Swami Maharaj for his exceptional leadership to help heal the earth. And I was very fortunate to have been able to go to the Eco Village in 2013 and see for myself all the amazing sustainable practices that ISKCON members are involved in, and how they're prioritizing caring for the environment. So that was really inspiring. So yes, I had a program at WWF called the Beliefs and Values Program, and we engage with spiritual and religious leaders and communities on the protection and the restoration of nature and natural areas. And this is a fairly new program within WWF. and actually a fairly new concept in the mainstream environmental movement, which is odd given the fact that WWF and other conservation groups work in a largely religious context in many, many religious countries. But unfortunately, there has been this historical chasm between faith and science, which I think is now beginning to heal. And certainly in the last sort of 5 to 10 years, I've seen a huge shift and a real explosion in faith-based environmental action, and a recognition within the environmental movement that these kinds of partnerships with religious communities are so valuable. So I'm really, really happy to see that. And I think part of that has been sort of a widespread recognition, as Professor Haberman said, that secular initiatives have been so valuable, but they have not been sufficient to stem the environmental crisis. And I think part of this is because the mainstream environmental movement has not fully recognized or acknowledged that the environmental crisis is at its heart a moral and a spiritual crisis. So the role of religious leaders like Maharaj and the Pope and the Dalai Lama and many other religious leaders around the world, they're calling on us to reflect on this, to remember that our beliefs and our attitudes and our values really impact nature and the environment. So I wanted to give you, in the just short space of time remaining to me, a really quick kind of taste of some of the work that WWF engages in with religious partners. And to take India as an example, we have really been focusing these last years on the issue of greening religious pilgrimage to sacred sites inside of tiger reserves, because, as you know, millions and millions of pilgrims flock to see their natural sacred sites. And unfortunately, it's having an unintended impact on the wildlife and the habitats and the sacred rivers. There are high levels of toxins, for example, flowing into these sacred rivers because of animal sacrifice and washing and waste. So we've been working with the forest departments in these tiger reserves, with religious organizations, with pilgrims, to raise awareness about how we can green pilgrimage into these sites. And I also wanted to call attention to faith-based tree growing efforts, which all over the world are just enormous. And of course, in India, you probably know that there are millions and millions of trees being planted by Sikh, Hindu, Christian, and other groups, which is really incredible, but it really presents an amazing opportunity to collaborate with the conservation world. We can help with scientific best practices, choosing the appropriate tree species and successful ways to grow trees over the long term, and very importantly, to channel this enormous energy towards planting in key landscapes and areas that can help restore degraded forests, that can help protect key watersheds, ensure clean water, and address climate change. So there's so many ways we can work together on that issue alone. And then very quickly moving to calling attention to the fact that we also work with Buddhist groups across Asia, such as in Cambodia, where I've worked for many years. And we are helping a network of Buddhist monks who are engaged in grassroots conservation initiatives like forest protection and wildlife protection. And they've asked for our help to raise their technical capacity on conservation, such as these young monks who patrol forests and pick up snares and are really stopping forest and wildlife crime. And they're inspiring local youth to participate in these patrols. And it's very odd perhaps for Buddhist monks to engage in patrols, but they've done it in a way that's very much in alignment with their spiritual values. So they have, principles of nonviolence and collaboration very much ingrained in how they do things. And then lastly, I'm on my quick tour, sorry. One other example of our work is in Indonesia, where we've worked at a kind of a different level from the beginning, which is at the highest policy level, we've engaged with the country's leading Muslim clerics to discuss the biodiversity crisis with them. And then they came out with 2 unprecedented edicts, Islamic fatwas, calling on every single Muslim in Indonesia to reduce wildlife trade and to stop the forest fires and the peatland fires that were causing so much destruction. And then we helped them roll out a whole host of resources and training that would raise awareness about the fatwas in communities through their mosques, through their schools. We've prepared teaching resources and comic books for youth and all kinds of incredible resources that have really helped raise awareness in Indonesia. So I think I'll stop there because I know, time is very short, but I hope that these very few examples have demonstrated how many different ways there are to channel spiritual and religious beliefs and values into practical environmental action. Thank you so much for giving me the space to speak today.
Thank you. That was a great pleasure. Thanks for your time. Of course, I know you're in the UK, so you're still better off than New York, where everybody must be palpitating to run. I would now like to invite a very dear member of our family, the co-chair of the UN multi-faith-based organization, Mr. Gopal Patel. He's also worked a lot on sustainability. He was one of the key members who presented the solar initiative. At that time, he was with Bhumi in the UK, and I was privileged to be part of that and submitted at the Westminster Parliament. We had a small session at the Westminster. So looking forward to hearing from you, Mr. Patel.
Thank you so much, Yachneet. Your Excellencies, Your Holiness, and others distinguished guests, it's my pleasure to be with all of you today. I recognize we're running short on time, so I'll try to keep my remarks short. As Yachneet mentioned, I have the honor of co-chairing the UN Multi-Faith Advisory Council, which is a 40-member body made up of leading faith-based organizations, and we exist to offer advice and support to the UN on the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm one of the 4 co-chairs of the Multi-Faith Advisory Council, along with colleagues from the Baha'i International Community, the Christian Ecumenical Organization, the ACT Alliance, and the Muslim Development Organization, Global One. And as Yachneet mentioned, I also am the co-founder and the director of an NGO called Bhumi Global, where we work to educate, empower, and educate, engage, and empower people to address the triple environmental crisis of biodiversity loss, climate change, and pollution. And the work of the NGO is grounded in Hindu principles of environmental care. We've heard extensively from our speakers today around the important role of religious organizations to address issues around water. And we've also heard about the important role that water plays in development, and recognizing that access to water, or the lack of access to water, is a significant contributor to conflict, peace, and security. I want to draw our attention today from the development community and the faith-based development community to 3 key moments that I think we can all engage on from a faith perspective, from a youth perspective, and an academic perspective as well. These are moments that the UN are curating in the last quarter of this year. The first is the Food Systems Summit, which will be taking place in late September or early October, convened by the Secretary General of the United Nations. It'll be the first time that world leaders are coming together to look at our food systems. And as has been highlighted today, our current food systems are extremely wasteful when it comes to natural resources, specifically around the use of water. So if we're looking to ensure that water is conserved and preserved, we need to radically reform our food systems. And so that's a key moment in September, October time, where the world will be coming together to look at our food systems and how water plays a significant role in that. The next moment is the Convention on Biological Diversity, or COP15, which will be taking place in China in early October. At that moment, again, world leaders will be coming together to put together a new global biodiversity framework for the next decade. So when we're talking about biodiversity loss, habitat loss, water issues, and so on, That moment in early October will be pivotal to ensure that biodiversity is put on a track for nature positive over the next decade. And so that's a very key moment for the global community. The third is the United Nations framework to address climate change, the COP26, which will be taking place in Glasgow in early November. And that will be the most important climate change meeting since Paris in 2015. When world leaders gather in Glasgow in early November, they'll be renewing and reviewing their climate commitments. And as we heard today, India is the only country which is exceeding its current commitments, but we're expecting by November for countries to come forward with very strong agreements and strong ambition to address the climate crisis. So I'm sharing these three moments, the Food Systems Summit, the CBD COP and the UNFCCC COP, because those are going to be very key moments where the world's attentions are going to be put on water, on biodiversity, on climate and food. And it's going to be vitally important that faith actors are there at the table, putting forward the moral argument and the moral voice for why these issues need to be urgently addressed. It's going to be a moment for youth and young people to say that these issues need to be urgently addressed because they impact the future for young people and their health and well-being. And it's going to be an important moment for academics and educators to be at the table as well, to present the science, to present the facts, and to educate the world about what is going on. So those are the moments, and I really encourage all of you to take those seriously. If you're interested in working with the faith-based community in those key moments, please do feel free to reach out to myself. I'd be very happy to work with you. Again, thank you very much to Yachneet and the organizers for this event today. And I look forward to meeting all of you in person and making a trip to the Govardhan Eco Village. I was there just a year ago. It was the last place I visited before the pandemic hit. I'm very much looking forward to being back there with all of you very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Gopal. Those were really encouraging words. Of course, we will, on the side, as an action, look at working with you and the City University of New York in coming up with a joint curriculum and a joint active program, which we've been discussing for quite some time. Time is running out. The governor, unfortunately, had a very bad cough and he just walked out. The doctors advised him to take some rest. I would like Professor Donde, who is an activist, someone who's been on the forefront of water conservation, water activism, and who's also a key member of the Govardhan Eco Village and Bhaktivedanta Research Center as the Dean, to give the vote of thanks. Professor Donde, are you there?
Namaste everybody, and Dandavat Pranam to His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj Ji and Dr. Heberman and many others, those who are the galaxy of dignitaries before me. I'm so fortunate today to present this customary vote of thanks, but at the same time being the part of GEV, as we believe that it's like what our Mahatma Gandhi, father of nation, had said, that be the change you want to see. We believe in this concept. And this is what we are trying to teach our youth. And for the climate change, we are working on how to mobilize our youth for this purpose. And that is our contribution in the terms of in the climate change. So we are just taking up as a Jal, Jungle, Jameen. That is, Jal means water, Jungle forest, and Jameen land. So with this three integration of these things that we are trying to work in Govardhan Eco Village and taking up all the blessings of Maharaj and Gauranga Prabhuji under their auspicious guidance, that we are doing a lot of things. And I'm sure the way today Yachneet has followed for a long time with all the collaboration on the environmental sustainability by CUNY, 100% we are going to do very well in the collaboration, looking forward to do a lot of work. There are a lot of support from the people which we could see today. It is a heterogeneous group it is, and with all kinds of religious, spiritual, corporate, everywhere there is a heterogeneous group. We saw our Honorable Governor, Koshyari ji, who showed very well in a few words, he could say that how we are worshipping the nature. That is what is our Vedic culture we have learned from. And that is how we are also trying to nurture and harness all these qualities in our students, because they are the next generation. That's how we are looking forward to a lot of exchange programs which can happen between CUNY, Bronze College, and then with all different kinds of universities across the world. There are a lot of people, those who are going to support for the good cause. And I know there are experts I could hear since a long time. So I don't want to say much in this because we are running out of the time. But I will feel in my duty if I just leave some names. Sorry for that in the beginning only. In advance, I'm just apologizing for that. But I will like to thank His Excellency Mr. Randir Jaiswal, Indian Consulate General, New York, His Excellency David Rance, US Consulate General, Mr. Ajay Piramal, Chairman Piramal Group, His Excellency Shri Bhagat Singh Koshyari ji, Governor of Maharashtra, Ashish Chauhan, MD and CEO, Bombay Stock Exchange, President, Bronze Community College, Monroe, President, Borough of Manhattan Community College, Dr. David Heberman, there is other names. I'm very sorry if I will leave certain names. Paramita, she's been a very good friend. Neil Philip ji, we are looking forward to do a lot of work in collaboration together. And there was Gopal Patel ji from the Bhumi Global, Ashish Chauhan ji, Tony Monroe. There are many more. Probably I may leave certain names. I'm very sorry. I beg your pardon for all these things. But then looking forward to a very good kind of a collaboration which can be done, because climate change is not possible in isolation and there are many facets to it. All the multifaceted dimensions, we will have to take it in this particular direction for the climate change contribution. And I'm sure that with the kind of spiritual guru we have, our Holiness Radhanath Maharaj Ji, Gauranga Prabhu Ji, I'm sure that we will lead to a very good direction, and with all of your help that we are going to do very well. Keep all of yours blessing, and the way we are going ahead, I'm sure that we will definitely try to get over the kind of pollution, encroachment and exploitations going on around, which is causing this kind of issues of climate change. I'm sure together we can bring in a big change. A revolution can be brought, a change can be brought. So like for the transformation purpose, that as a change agent, let us come together, do the things together, keep your blessings. Thank you so much. Namaste from India.
And last but not the least, one of the main reasons all of us are together is because the CEO for Social Initiatives Govardhan Eco Village, Mr. Yajneet Pushkarna, spent several sleepless nights to put this whole thing together, to get confirmations from everybody. So we are very, very grateful to him for taking this effort, having the vision of an Indo-US collaboration. I remember traveling with him to America and attending many such events in person. And unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we are not able to have any in-person conferences. But I think this is a very major step in the right direction. As they say, every waterfall begins with a drop. And I think with Mr. Pushkarna's efforts, many of these initiatives which we are discussing, they're going to find the actual reality in very near future. Thank you all very much for joining. And from Govardhan Eco Village, Hare Krishna to all of you.